Rick Howard. The presentation will be about how to become an effective leader and how to develop your leadership skills. Right? I'm going to do a brief personal introduction. Some of you work with me, others I know pretty well. I think for the most case, I know most people here. So it's a friendly audience, okay? maybe, okay?
It is.
And again, it might seem I get a bit distracted. That's only because I'm adding people as I'm going through the presentation. I'll talk a little bit about my professional background, okay? I'll talk a little bit about the organization of Dreams in Motion. We're gonna try, as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna try to have this as interactive as possible. So I've created some mini quizzes. When we get to the appropriate slide or page, I will post the quiz called a poll that I'm using as a quiz. And that's more or less to get feedback from you guys and to get some interaction going, okay? Then I'm gonna do a refresher from what we talked about last weekend. I'm sorry, we talked about 2 weekends ago, which we talked about some of the qualities of leadership, only because I think it's important to reinforce what we learned. We should do refreshers, okay? Then we're gonna talk about what specifically are leadership skills. We'll have another quiz. We'll talk about whether or not we can actually develop those skills. Are they innate? In other words, are there something we're born with, or can we actually develop some of these skills? Okay. Then we'll talk about actually the process for developing the skills. It's a lot of material. It's actually maybe better suited for this specific subject is better suited for more of a face-to-face or a longer term kind of class, but we'll do what we can, and hopefully people will get something out of it. And if we have any more detail we want to go through later on, we can always schedule another session, okay?
Yeah.
And then we'll have a question and answer period at the end. So if anybody has any specific questions, we'll go ahead and have a discussion on that. Okay, so I'm a native of Ventura, California, right, close to Los Angeles. I have about 35 years of management leadership experience in both the U.S. Navy and in my government. Okay, done a lot of public speaking in the past. I've traveled extensively throughout Asia, Europe, Central America, and other places here in Africa, right? Okay, I speak 2 other languages, Mandarin Chinese and Spanish, okay? So basically, this is just a world map to show kind of an idea of places I've traveled to around the world to give people an appreciation that when I talk about things, I'm talking from my multicultural standpoint, not just an American standpoint. Okay. Okay, professionally speaking, I spent some time in the military, in the U.S. Navy. That was where I did a lot of my traveling originally before I transitioned to the government, where I started to do more traveling, okay? So my professional background before becoming the CEO of Dreams in Motion was all basically either in the military, the U.S. Navy, or working for my government. I was involved in various projects, including international coalition projects with many countries here, well, not here, we're in Africa. Okay, but in Europe, okay, with many countries in Europe. So I've done a lot of international collaboration even when I was in the government. Okay. Basically, it was leading testing evaluation programs for different ship programs for my country, right? Okay, I became the CEO of Dreams in Motion, started the company about 8 years ago as an online mentoring effort. Transition when I left the government position, transition to being the CEO of Dreams in Motion, came here to Tunisia. I came here originally 2018, came here for about 4 weeks, 2019, then I came here at the beginning of 2019, and basically I've been here since, okay? So that's a little bit about me. You can see that I have a Tunisian flag in the background. Nothing against anybody that's from Algeria or any other country, okay? I don't even have my own flag there, but it was in the villa. I put it up. Looks good. Why not? Okay. All right. So let me tell you about a little bit about Dreams of Motion. It started as an international mentoring organization to work with people around the world. We currently work with people from over 100 different countries, basically every continent for the most part. Okay, we have a company registered in California, but our physical office is located here in Sfax, Tunisia. Okay, and what we try to do with the company is provide a integrated training solution approach, which means we basically look at providing 3 levels of instruction. 1 is languages, 2 is technical courses, and 3 are soft skill courses. The reason for that is because these kind of skills complement each other. And right now in the world we're living in today, maybe more now than before, economies are going to be tight. It's going to be hard, you know, for a lot of people, I think, in the future to get good jobs. So it means that you're going to need to be more competitive. And to be more competitive means you need to really, get on your game and increase your skill set. Okay, that's really what that means. Because before, maybe 5 out of 10 people that applied for a job are going to get it. Maybe now it's going to be 2 or 3. So you have to be competitive with everybody else in order to get those quality jobs in the future. Okay, and this is part of having a quality career. Again, it's having your training, right? Knowing how to communicate, knowing about leadership, having some kind of either an academic background, a technical background, and languages. Okay? Languages will continue to be extremely important. Right? Any questions on that?
No, excellent.
Okay.
Everything is good.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and post a poll. And what I'm going to do with the poll is, give me a second here. I'm going to see what you guys know about leadership qualities, okay? So you should see on a screen, you should see there's 9 different qualities. What I want you to do is pick the qualities that you think are considered to be leadership qualities. Okay? Now, this is anonymous, so if you get something wrong, okay, that's okay. We're not gonna, everyone in Tunisia on Facebook is not going to see that you got something wrong, okay? This is 100% anonymous, okay? So if you just take a few minutes here and fill out what you think are considered to be leadership qualities, okay? On an effective leader, okay? So we have about half of the people have filled it out. So just, and again, the people that were here last weekend, they get the benefit of having gone through this module already. It's a good thing it's anonymous, because if somebody was here last weekend and answered this incorrectly, I might actually have my feelings hurt, because that meant that maybe they weren't paying attention to me. But there's no way for me to know, okay? So, okay, we have 8 out of 11. Okay, so we give it, and if you don't know, just give it your best shot. Okay, 1 more. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and we're going to share the results. Okay, so basically, interesting. So being a nice guy is not part of being an effective leader. Okay, certainly it doesn't hurt, but it's really not considered to be a quality. Okay, being a nice guy is just basically being a nice guy. Everybody got responsible. That was good. Okay, being very intelligent doesn't necessarily make you an effective leader. Okay, honesty is a quality of being an effective leader. Being courageous is a quality of being an effective leader. Speaks loudly? No, just means they speak loudly. Okay. Respectful is a quality of being an effective leader, and effective communicator is strongly a quality. And did anybody say has a lot of money? Okay, good. So nobody said that you need to have a lot of money to be an effective leader. Okay.
The speak loudly part. That doesn't mean that you need to be shy, because if you are shy, you're not courageous. You cannot be you cannot reunite people. Speak loudly. So that's a quality you need to have, because when you speak loudly, the people can have interest and they can listen to you. They can just, I mean, if you speak just quietly, they cannot hear you. That's to speak loud. That's not to shout. That's to speak loud and clear. That's to have eloquent, being eloquent. That's to speak loud and clear. So I guess it's a quality that you need to have when you have the skills for leadership.
Well, I would agree with you that being able to me, it's all about communication. To communicate effectively means people need to be able to understand you, need to be able to hear you, right?
Yeah.
But I think speaking loudly, when I think of the word speaking loudly, to me, it's somebody that's just loud. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're organized in the way they communicate. It doesn't mean they're concise. It doesn't mean they're clear. They just speak loud. Being in the military for a long time, I was around a lot of people that like to speak loud. Okay, and some of them were good leaders, and some of them weren't. They just like to speak loud because they had a certain position of authority, and because they had a position of authority, they felt like they could, say what they want to say.
Yeah.
To me, the most effective people I've ever known, personally, are those that sometimes don't have to speak loud because they have a certain respect you see in those people. Okay. And so again, I think it depends. There are certain situations where you have to be understood. Okay? In order to be understood, people need to be able to hear you. So yeah, from that perspective, I agree.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not shouting. It's clear and understandable.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I agree with that part.
Yeah.
See, what is most importantly, it's all about the quality and eloquency, not about the tone of the voice.
Yes,
I mean, if your speech is convincing, if everybody is convinced, if it reached everybody, I mean, it's all about the quality, not the tone.
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
talking about nice guy, what does that mean? Nice guy, that's mean
Being nice to everyone.
Yeah.
yes, but I think in the certain moment we have to be strong and honest, not fear. And when talking about nice guy,
Yeah, no, I think
Being nice is not being rude. It's the opposite of being rude.
Exactly.
with the people. So when you are nice, the people can have interest in you. The people can hear you, listen to you, watch you.
Right.
If you are not nice, so the people will not be interested even to just attend a session for you.
Right.
Okay, so be nice. Being nice to people is something, I think that it's something that needs to be from the more important qualities for leadership.
Yeah.
Because if you are not nice, the people will not even think that they can attend a speech for you or.
But I think it's a balancing act where because again, remember, at least from my experience, that leadership is not about being the most popular person. Sometimes you make hard decisions. Sometimes you have to make a hard decision. And the challenge with, because I consider myself to be a nice guy, okay? But sometimes, as an example, you have to make a hard decision that people may not like, and
Yes.
so I think
You
we have
need
to
to
be
be
careful. I
firm.
think it's good to be considerate. It's good to be courteous to people, respectful of people, but it's not just about being a nice guy. Because again, as a leader, you're not necessarily somebody's friend, right? It's not about being a friend. Okay, that's not a leader. You can have a friendly relationship with somebody and be a leader, but to me, again, I prefer to be around nice people. Okay.
Yes.
But it's not absolutely a quality that's necessary sometimes to lead. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll have a lot more time to do some other things, pulling here in a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on. Okay, so some of these qualities we talked about. Okay, basically to be principled. Okay, so somebody that has ethics. Okay, has integrity. Okay, empathy is a big one. Okay. Again, empathy means putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, trying to understand something from somebody else's position. Okay, that's what the word empathize means, which is really important, particularly if you expect people to want to communicate with you. Part of being a leader is being open to feedback, right? You want people to tell us, hey, I have an idea about how to do something different. Okay. Uh, if I don't have any empathy and I'm not willing to sit down and listen to that person, I used the example 2 weeks ago. Let's say somebody's coming in late to the office, okay, and maybe they have something going on at home. Maybe they're going through a problem in their relationship. Maybe somebody in the family is really sick. Okay, somebody that doesn't have any empathy would just basically say, "You're late. Okay, I'm gonna cut your pay. You're out of here." Somebody that has empathy says, okay, let's sit down and talk about it. What's going on? I value you being here. Okay. If there's a problem at home, we need to find a solution because you have obligations here too. But again, you're going to try to work with it. Okay. That's what we call having empathy, right? Being a human being. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
That's the most important thing, to be human.
Okay. Honesty. Leaders need to have credibility. People need to be able to believe what somebody says. You can't believe what somebody's saying because you feel like they're not telling the truth. They don't have the credibility to be a leader. Yeah, leadership is about having credibility. People have to believe your word. Okay, so honesty is very important. Okay, respect. To me, this is one of the most important areas as well, because to me, I was talking to a friend of mine in California this morning, he's black, and we were talking about California, and this is somebody I've known for many years, and we're talking about racism back home. And he was telling me about some things that he thinks, and I was telling him about things I think. And the bottom line is, respect somebody for who they are, not what they look like, or how they pray, okay, or what their gender is, or how much money they make, okay, or the sexual orientation, or anything else. Respect is something that you do for somebody for who they are, okay? That's the point, okay? And the last one here is to be responsible. Leaders have to be responsible, okay? They have to be. They have to take responsibility for their actions and words, okay? People that are true leaders, won't say, they won't say something and turn around later on and say, well, no, I really didn't say that. No, they did say it, okay? So responsibility is something that's extremely important. Okay, and we have 5 more. So the other one is to be a follower. To know how to lead, you have to know how to follow. Not everybody leads 100% of the time, right? So you have to know how to follow. It's important. People think that, leadership is something that's 100%. No, we all have somebody we follow, okay? We all do, okay? And to be an effective leader, you have to know what it means, okay? The next thing is confidence. This is important too, because how do you inspire people? How do you motivate people if you don't have confidence? Okay? Self-confidence is critical. Now, you can make an argument that not everybody has confidence to the same level 100% of the time, right? You have very good leaders that they have a challenge with public speaking, as an example. Okay, does that make them a bad leader? No, it doesn't make them a bad leader. It just means that in some areas maybe we need to improve more, right? The confidence is a factor in your ability to inspire people. Okay, when you exhibit confidence, people pay attention to that. All right. Next one is courage. And people get mixed up all the time between being brave and being courageous. Being brave basically means not being afraid. Having courage means being afraid and doing something anyway. So facing that fear, okay? And I have a lot more respect for people that demonstrate courage because they have a fear, okay? But they, look at all the doctors and nurses right now with what's going on, right? They're going into hospital rooms, treating patients with this fear that maybe they could get infected, okay? That's courage, okay? So courage is something to me that's very important, okay? Next one is kind of, the foundation for everything else, to be an effective communicator, okay? So having the quality as an effective communicator is critical if you want people to follow you and to achieve some goal. And the last one is somebody that brings people together, okay? This is something I believe very strongly in. I don't have a lot of patience for those people that like to divide others based upon, again, different factors. I'm a person that believes that diversity is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I believe that somebody that brings people together are the ones that achieve the most in our society. Okay, people that put people in different areas, I don't have a lot of patience with that. Okay. All right. So let's move on. That was actually just a refresher from 2 weeks ago. Okay. So what are leadership skills? Okay, first of all, there are more skills than what I've got listed here. These are just 4 of the skill sets that I've identified for this lecture. Okay. Number 1 are the delegation skills, to be able to delegate. Number 2 are planning skills, know how to plan things. 3 are negotiation skills, knowing how to negotiate. And 4, again, being an effective communicator, knowing how to communicate. Okay, so those are the 4 skills. There certainly are more skills in this. Okay, but we have limited time. Identify these 4 skills because they're ones I think that are maybe they're not easy to develop, but I think they can be developed. And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between qualities that are natural and skills that can be learned, because they're 2 different things. Okay. So the first one is delegation. Okay. So basically, delegation is when we assign authority to another person. Okay, to carry out specific activities. Okay. Now, what people don't always understand is that you cannot delegate accountability. You can only delegate responsibility and authority. Okay, you cannot delegate accountability. So if I have somebody working for me and I ask them to maybe manage the financial part of the company, okay, I'm delegating that authority to manage the financial part, but I'm still accountable. Okay, right? So we have to understand the difference between accountability and authority and responsibility. Okay, much different. Again, as a senior person in a company, if the person has a management role and they have a leadership role at the same time, okay, they cannot delegate accountability. I can ask somebody, okay, you're responsible for this, and I'm gonna hold you responsible. But again, at the end of the day, I'm still accountable, or that other person's still accountable. Okay. So here's an example. It's basically, actually, this is the wrong one. I have it wrong. But anybody have an example they want to give? Think of an example.
From the manager to their responsible or their supervisor.
Okay.
Yes, we can set this example in the factory or company. Manager can't do anything, so he can delegate, or he has to delegate something and some responsibility to their supervisor.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and that's a good point. No person.
Sorry, but there is something
Mhm.
that it can't be done only by the manager.
Yes, yes.
So the manager can delegate some responsibility or some action on planning to their supervisor, to the employees,
Mhm.
but not at all. There is something can't be done even only by the manager or the headmaster.
Yes. Rami, that was you, right? I think.
Yes, I
Yeah, yeah.
guess, Mr. Rami.
So the point you're bringing up is very true. It depends upon the type of responsibility and whether or not somebody has the competencies to handle those kind of responsibilities, right? So if I went to somebody that had no background, let's say no background in financial management, they didn't know how to do accounting, they didn't know how to manage the expenses for the company, and I went to that person and said, okay, now you're in charge of all the managing the budget for the company. That, first of all, that would be stupid, okay? Okay, because now I'm trying to give some responsibility to somebody that has no background or knowledge of it. Okay, so it'd be stupid. Secondly, if they made a mistake, and let's say we get audited by the government for taxes, guess what happens? That person doesn't get in trouble, the company gets in trouble, and I, as representing the company, get in trouble, okay? So the point is that, you know, there are certain things, and you're right, no person can do everything, and the most effective way to build your team is to empower them and delegate responsibility so that they learn to take on those tasks and they grow. When we delegate things to people in a responsible way, it's helping them to grow from a professional standpoint, right? If we try to
Yes.
hold on to everything, we don't release any information, we don't release any authority, we don't release any responsibility, that's not being an effective leader, okay? We should want our people to grow professionally, and we do that through delegation. That's the point. And what happens with delegation? When you delegate, you trust, right?
Yes.
You cannot delegate unless you trust somebody, unless you want to have problems later on, okay? Okay. So next one is planning, okay? So when it comes to planning, this is a skill that can be learned. It's something that I think many people that are involved in any kind of project management, even in our daily lives, okay? It's just a very simple thing about what you're gonna do for the day. You get a calendar, you write it down, maybe, okay? Right? You coordinate your timetable to what you're gonna do. You prioritize based upon what's most important, okay? Right? So when we talk about planning as a skill, it's something where we basically set objectives. And again, it could be very simple, very simple. Doing something for the weekend. This weekend, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to see this person. At work, maybe it's launching a new service, launching a new product. Okay, opening up a new office. Okay. The point is, planning is one of those skills that all leaders need to be able to have, okay? You cannot effectively plan, it makes it very hard to be an effective leader, okay? Okay, so when we talk about negotiating, okay? Oops. Okay, so negotiating is another skill that we think about when we talk about communicating, because basically negotiating is a dialogue between two or more people where you're trying to reach some kind of beneficial outcome over an issue where there's a potential for conflict, right? So if I'm thinking about negotiating for a promotion, as an example, right? Actually gave an example here. Okay, the example is you, I want a promotion. Him, why, you haven't been here long enough. You, I increased sales 100%. Him, you're eligible for a promotion in 6 months. You, then I want a commission on each additional sale until then, right? Okay, him, okay. The point is, you know, negotiating is about taking something that 2 or more people may disagree upon and going through a process to come up with an agreement, right? That's basically negotiating. Again, it could be about a job promotion. It could be about, you know, your salary. It could be, you know, we negotiate with people in our life. Okay, if you're married, maybe you negotiate with your husband or wife on what you're going to do Friday night. Okay. You go out with friends to a coffee shop. They want to go this one. You want to go that one. You negotiate. Okay, we'll go there tonight. Then we'll go to your place tomorrow night. Right?
Yeah.
And so the point is, negotiating is part of our life. We don't always think about it that way. Okay, but it's a big part of our life, whether it's personal life or professional. And as a leader, you're constantly having to negotiate. Why? Because you're constantly working with people. Right? Again, maybe if you're working in a hotel and you know you're asked, somebody wants to get a room by the sea with a sea view, okay, right? And somebody else wants a room with a mountain view, okay, or they want the same room, okay. Maybe 2 people want the same room, so you have to know how to negotiate between them, right? Let's come up with a solution where maybe I don't know what the solution would be, but you try to find a solution, okay?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
the point.
To
So
proceed.
you know, the key thing is, again, negotiating is part of a leader. It is a leadership skill and something that can be developed. All of the skills I'm talking about are things that can be developed. Okay, they can be developed. They're not things that people say, oh, you're born with it. Okay, some people might be better at negotiating. Some people might be better at planning. Maybe they're just more organized. But you can learn how to be more organized. You can learn how to negotiate, right? You can learn how to plan. Okay. The last one we're going to talk about is communication. Okay, and we talked about that earlier. Okay. So basically, again, what communication is the ability to convey information to somebody else effectively and efficiently. Okay. So being effective means that they clearly understand your point, right? That's what effective means. Right? Efficient means you're not wasting time doing so. You're not wasting words trying to get your message across. You're doing it in a concise way, right? So again, and we can improve our communication skills, right? Again, some people maybe they're more extroverted. Maybe they tend to be more sociable. It's easier for them to talk to people. But that doesn't mean that somebody that's more introverted can't learn how to communicate. Okay. Some people it's just easier, right? Okay. So another quiz real quickly. And I hope everybody should get this 100% right, okay? If anybody gets this wrong, then I'm really doing a bad job with my communication, okay? You guys are gonna think that, okay. I should have waited till the end until I gave you a lot more information to do this, okay? I'll feel happy if everybody got 100% right. It's almost like a L's exam or a TOEFL exam where some of the answers could be a little bit, okay? Okay, we're waiting one more. You didn't vote yet. One more. Is there somebody that didn't vote that just wants a little more time? Okay. So basically, okay, so I'm not being a very effective communicator right now, okay? Because we just went through this, okay? So here's the results. Let me show the results. Okay, so everybody got planning right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, most people got delegating right. Okay, everybody got communication right. Okay, but again, remember that you know, having technical skills can certainly contribute. They can contribute to being a leader. Okay, they can contribute. Okay, but that's not the correct answer. Having financial management knowledge can contribute. Okay, but
Yes,
you can be an
also.
effective leader and have nothing to do with the money. Maybe if you're an effective leader, you have somebody that works for you. That's the financial expert. Okay, right? There's many leaders that don't have a strong technical knowledge, yet they manage engineering firms. They manage technical teams. Why? Because they know people. They know how to hire the right people that do have this. Okay. When I was in the government, the projects I managed were very technical. Okay, very very technical. Okay, my background is engineering. I don't particularly like engineering, but that's my background. Okay, but I knew people very well. Okay, I knew how to work with people. So the point is, again, you don't need to have technical skills to be an effective leader. You don't need to have financial management skills to be an effective leader. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's go on to the next session. Okay. Section. Okay. So can we develop our leadership skills? We talked earlier a little bit about there are some skills that we call innate. They're natural. We're born with them. Okay. Not skills, I should say qualities. Okay. So we have skills and qualities that are either innate or learned. Okay. But we can develop leadership skills. Again, skills are defined as acquired knowledge. Acquired knowledge. Learning another language is a skill. Okay? Right?
Yes.
You're acquiring knowledge how to speak another language. Learning how to code software is a skill. Right? Knowing how to do project management, being an effective project manager, that's a skill. Okay? Being an engineer is a skill. Right? So these are skills. Qualities, these things are more often innate, the things we're born with, okay? The things that come naturally to us. That doesn't mean that we can't develop certain qualities, okay? Because we can, and qualities have a large impact on how we acquire skills, okay? We tend to be more open and sociable. Maybe we're more effective in communication. Or maybe it's easier to be an effective communicator. That's the point. Okay. So if we look at some of the innate qualities, okay, basically these are some things that are innate. Okay. Empathy. That's something that we're born with. Okay. Now, does that mean that we can't learn it? No, we can also learn to be empathetic to people, right? Learn to listen. Okay, but it is a quality that's considered to be innate. Okay, again, just because we're not born with it doesn't mean we can't learn it. Okay, the next one is courage. Okay, that tends to be a natural quality, innate quality. Okay, risk taking, passion. These are all qualities that inherently are natural. It doesn't mean that we can't learn these, but it means that they come first and foremost naturally. Okay. Okay, so what are some learned, okay? Some learned things are trusting. We can learn to trust them, right? We can learn how to be a better communicator, okay? We can learn how to respect people. Respect can be learned, okay? And we can learn about responsibility, okay?
Yes.
So again, you know, there are certain things we're born with. There's some things that we can learn. Because a lot of times people say, well, I don't have any, I wasn't born with leadership qualities, so I can't learn how to be a leader. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I don't think, okay? Okay, so another quiz, okay? I like
Yes.
quizzes, okay? Makes me feel like I'm actually maybe, well, this one, let's see what you guys think. See how much people are, paying attention. So the question, which are the examples here of innate qualities, natural qualities? Who put respect? Who put? Oh my gosh, I'm not doing too good of a job. Okay, 9 out of 10. Okay. So basically, what we said was, we said that empathy is something that's considered an innate natural quality. Risk-taking is something that's considered a natural quality. We said responsibility can be learned. Respect can be learned. Trust can be learned. Okay? Now I know who did it, okay? I just saw the expression on her face, okay?
Yeah.
All right, good job. Okay. No, but this is good. Again, it makes it a little bit more interactive. That way.
So it's just empathy.
Empathy and risk-taking.
Risk-taking?
Yeah.
Risk-taking is something innate?
It's somewhat innate. I did Stanford University and I used basically a research paper done by Stanford University that tried to identify those qualities that were considered to be innate versus learned. Now, that doesn't mean, I don't think that means, like you said earlier, that people can't learn to take risks. They can learn to take risks, right? You can learn to be empathetic. But there are some qualities that are more natural than they are learned. I think that's important. Okay. Okay, so let's go on to. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what does it take to actually develop our skills. And to be honest, to do this the right way, we would actually probably be in a room together. I don't know, maybe these days not, I don't know. But we would have a lot more time and we would go through some exercises. Maybe in the future, that's what we'll do. So what I'm going to provide you is relatively high level. And it's just reinforcing something I said earlier. Okay. But basically, the first thing again is delegating. So how do we delegate? We develop trust with our team. You empower your team. You give them the authority to make decisions. Okay. So when we think about delegating, okay, here's an example right here, okay? Again, Mary says, John, I want you to lead our marketing team. John says, do I have the authority to decide on our strategy? Mary says, yes, just keep me in the loop on decisions. Very, very, very basic, okay? So Mary has just delegated, right, authority to John to lead this team on marketing strategy, right? So again, you cannot delegate accountability, but you can delegate authority and responsibility. And I would recommend anybody, again, this is a skill that can be developed. All you need to have, okay, think about it this way. Even if you're not doing this in your professional career, think about with your friends. So you get with your friends and the lockdowns stopping soon, kind of, sort of, okay? So your friends want to go out and have some coffee together, right? So they say, oh, where should we go? You say, I don't know, you decide, right? It's small, Shreya, okay? Very small. but that little bit is the point, okay? You've delegated the responsibility for them to decide where you're going to go to have coffee, okay? And again, to me, it doesn't matter whether it's small or big. The principle's the same. The principle's the same, okay? So again, focus on trust, building trust with your team. Without trust with your team, it's very difficult to have a successful organization, okay? When trust is violated, and it's really hard to build it back once it's gone, okay? Right?
Yes, yes.
So trust is extremely, empower your team, okay? Even if they're not always, you know, I would even say, even if they're not always 100% where they need to be, take a chance sometimes. I mean, coach them, right? Coach, work with them, okay? But I think it's really, really important, very important. Okay, when we talk about planning. Planning is a process. Planning requires steps. Okay, this is something that can easily be learned. Okay, and I, being in my past a project manager, we did a lot of planning. Okay, and what we would do is, first thing is to understand the requirements, identify your objectives, right? Build your team, identify your resources. Okay. Put together a schedule, and really important thing to do when you're planning, have a way to measure your progress. Many people, when they think about planning, they don't necessarily think about how to make sure that they're on track with something, right? If you're planning to open a company, if you're planning to build a house, if you're planning to buy a car, okay, have a way to assess your progress or measure your progress towards that goal, right? That's what it's about. Okay, then you start. You know, again, there's much more. We could get into a lot of detail if we had more time. But again, if we think about planning, it's a series of steps or actions to achieve something. Okay, it's a process. Okay, it's part of a process, I should say. Okay.
Sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you think that to be a good manager, it's one step to be a good leadership?
I
so,
think, yeah.
So
I
you start to be a good manager. After that, you're thinking about being a good leadership.
I actually think it's the other way around. I think you need to be a good leader first and then a manager.
Yes.
And the reason I say that is because, to me, I've worked with many, many managers in my life, in my career. And to be honest with you, many of them were not good leaders, okay? They knew how to manage money. They knew how to manage equipment, computers, whatever it was.
How to be bossy, not a leader.
They don't have the interpersonal skills. They don't have to me, it's like building a pyramid, okay? You build your foundation by developing your leadership skills, okay? And when you have the strong leadership skills, now you move into a position where you're managing more than just people, right? Remember, leadership is about people. It's about people. Management is about many things, right? You're managing money, you're managing equipment, okay? So develop that leadership skill first. And that's basically what I did. In the military, I was in a leadership position. I went into the government, I was leader, but then I transitioned over to being a manager. And to me, I felt like I always, I felt like I was more successful in that role because I had a strong leadership background. For me, it was easier, you know. Many people, to be honest, many companies have problems because they have managers that have no people skills. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? People come up to people go knock on the door and say, hey, you know, I've got a problem at home. And they say, oh, I don't care, it's not my problem, it's your fault, right? And I just don't buy that. I don't buy that. People make a company successful. That's what makes a company successful. Computers don't make a company successful. People do. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, just a small note about a personal experience. I have worked with a lot of companies where managers. I think we should notice the difference between a boss and a leader, because the boss can just make orders. Do that, do so. You do that, you do that. But a leader can just reunite all the persons around and try to find a solution for which critical situation you have in the company. I have worked with bossy, I mean bossy. That's my boss. I do know that he is my boss, but they don't have that leadership skill to just try to find a solution. They just push you to the edge, and they just sometimes they blame you for what happened, or for the mistake, but we build the company by making mistakes.
Yeah.
Making mistakes is not always bad. I know making mistakes can be dangerous, can be risky, can be you can just lose your job because of a mistake. But making a mistake cannot be something, for me, cannot be something awful, because when you make the mistake, you can learn, and your leader needs to know that from our mistake we can learn and we can build on something more accurate, more planified, more I mean, you can do the right thing, right decision. They can just not to push you to the edge. A leader can just help you to make the best decision in the meantime. But a boss can push you to the edge to just write your your decision to quit. So that's the difference for me. I just had the personal experience to work with both of leaders and with bosses. So I know the difference between. I think that your comment is good, because we need to learn how to be a leader first, then we can be a manager. From being a leader, you can just build up your company, or you can build up your managing situation.
Yeah.
So from the leadership, you can manage all the situations. You can just reunite all the people around and try to build up your company or the work that have been just assigned to you.
Yeah. No, very, very, very good point.
Yeah, yeah, I like your point of view, especially about mistake. For this, as a leadership, we must, or leadership must, to give more than one chance to other, to eliminate and ignore the fear of trying or to success. But
Yes.
we guarantee this number of chase with management. So I think leadership and management is two things simultaneously. It's
Yeah.
not separated thing. So for this, I'm asking how much leadership and management related.
Well, there's an intersection. There's an intersection between the two areas, and I have a chart. I have a Venn diagram that shows that overlap, where there's common attributes or common qualities that need to be applied across both. So as an example, both need to look in terms of resources. The difference is a manager tends to look at resources beyond the people, right? So the manager tends to think about resources on a large perspective, okay? Whereas a leader tends to think more about resources specific to that group of people, okay? So there are common attributes, and I can later on I can send you. I have a Venn diagram that shows that intersection between the two. It has over here your leadership areas of responsibility, your management areas of responsibility, and then a small overlap between the two. Okay. Like I can make that available. Or actually, when we finish this, I'll pull that up real quickly and we could go through it. I actually have it on my computer because it was in last week's material. But again, I think that again, you work on your leadership skills first, build those skills, and then you take on management responsibilities and obviously learn those skills as well. Because the people part to me is often the biggest challenge. And I say biggest challenge because people are a variable, right? People they have a bad day at work. Okay, they you know have emotions. Okay, and what that means is that it's a challenge. Leadership is a challenge. Okay, being an effective leader is not an easy job. Okay.
Yes, of
It
course.
can be very, 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 very frustrating.
Yes.
But it's the most rewarding. To me, it's the most rewarding. Because to me, when you see people empowered and aspire to achieve something, to me, that's the ultimate success. That's the ultimate success. Because if you create success in your team, whatever you're doing is going to be successful.
Of course.
If you don't have, you know, people that are motivated, inspired, that want to do something, you could throw all the money in the world at something, okay, at your project. You put as much money, you know, maybe it's successful for a little while, but it's not going to last because people make success happen. Computers don't make success happen. Equipment doesn't make success happen. It takes somebody to program those computers, to turn on power on, to operate things, okay? Right?
That's the investment for in human resources.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when
And it's
companies
tough.
invest, yeah, when they invest in human resources, they invest leadership in
Yeah.
leadership.
Yeah.
When we have a team that is successful and has the best sales in each month, and we have the best quality team, and we have the best worker, and we have the best team leader or something like that, we can cheerleader the leaders. Okay, so when we have the best, when we invest money and when we invest in human resource for the people we have in our company or in our maybe company, maybe a project, we can have the best success we can, because as Rick said, computers do not do the work alone. Machines do not do the work alone. They need human interaction. They need human to do that.
Yeah.
So when we have the best team, that's good leadership, and we can achieve so many work and so many success. I think that could never happen before.
You know, one of the things here in Tunisia, and I've said it before to some of you, and I'm not saying that where I'm from is any better or worse. I think every place has some things are good, some things are bad. But one of the things I was told when I came here, I've learned from the year I've been here, again, there are many people here that don't like to share their knowledge. Many people that have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, they don't want to share it with the new people. Okay, they don't want to share it with the, you know,
With people.
newly hired employees or whatever. And I'm told it's because holding on to that knowledge makes them more powerful. Holding on knowledge makes them more. I don't know how to say it, but it's basically a situation where you know, knowledge capital is not being shared. Okay.
Yes.
And it's a shame.
Yes.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's the one thing that somebody should have an obligation to do is if you have experience, if you have knowledge, you have an obligation to share it. Okay. People, in some cases, you know, they hold on to it because they feel like if they do share it, it makes them less important. I don't know. I don't understand that, to be honest. Anyway.
If you share the knowledge, here you are empowering your team. And sharing the knowledge is among leadership qualities, because it goes to your what to say, it goes to your own good.
Oh,
To
yeah.
share, if you share the knowledge, the team is yours, then the beneficials are going to be yours also.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
If you are empowering the team, so you are empowering yourself. You're empowering the desire to be realized.
Yeah. I agree with you 1,000,000,000%. The problem is, I think some people operate from a position of, I don't know, maybe lack of self-value, I'm not a psychologist, okay, psychiatrist, okay, so I can, but I think just some people don't have that confidence level where they feel comfortable enough to share things because they feel like, you know, if I lose it, I become less of something. But I think it's the opposite. You grow, the more you help people grow, the more you grow. You know? Anyway.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. Not only in specs, that's in the whole Tunisia, but when you work in some works have to share the knowledge.
Yeah.
And some others, they do not allow you to learn, and they do not. Some works, I remember my first work, I did not have access to the information. I have a background, a lit in English language, and I was introduced to the world of business with zero knowledge. I came out of the blue, and I was introduced to this word. It's something new. I don't know anything. So I needed to learn by myself. So neither my boss, neither my colleagues could help me, and I needed to learn. I remember myself just closed in my office for so long hours after work. I just had my first work in the month of Ramadan, and I had to work after the hours. My colleagues leave at 3, and I need to leave at 6 because I need to prepare for my work for tomorrow. And it's something that you cannot imagine how you need to have the efforts to learn by yourself.
Yeah.
And I had this one colleague who helped me do all the work. It's something, we were like soulmates in work, but at that time he is the only one who shared information. Do that and don't do that. This is good, this is right, this is bad. So I had to learn by myself, and he helped me a lot. I'm so grateful for his person and for him to give me all the information needed. But in the opposite, I had a boss who was not ready to give the knowledge. We came from the teaching field, both of us, but he was bossy. He was just the boss. He has the air conditioner, the telephone, and everything comfortable, and we do the work. But I remember how to be a leader by myself, because I had 7 people with me that they do nothing without just telling me.
Right.
Yeah, we shared all the information. We communicate a lot. I remember that I needed to communicate a lot. I needed to share information. I needed to give them the accurate information to do the work. And they were just simple workers at the warehouse, but that simple worker can do the whole work without just without just be bossy
Yeah.
in front of him. So we were friends. We were like, I know, I remember being a leader by a simple meaning, that feeling empathy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the more important thing, and just do a lot of communication. We needed to be more communicative than ever. You can be communicative, you can communicate a lot with people, but at work or in something that you need to manage,
Mhm.
you need to communicate, you need to have more have more access to the information, and give access to the information to your team, so that they can just manage the situation. You can manage the situation all together, and
Well-
you can find, I remember we had some situations that we cannot solve, but with the teamwork and with the communication, we did have, everyone has shared his knowledge, everyone has shared the information they know. And I remember these situations very well. It's been like 10 years, but they still are like yesterday,
Yeah.
because with the leadership skills that we had and we learned to do by the it's been 4 years, by the years that come, to solve problems and to share information, to have access to the information. That's something you need to learn. That's not innate, because like you said, people have that complex to share information, to
Right.
give access to the information. When I have something, I need to keep it by myself.
Yeah.
When I learn something, I need to keep it for me. I don't share it. That's something bad, because when you don't share the information, when you don't share the knowledge, and we don't just, even the most simple thing, when I watch a video on YouTube and learn something good that is helpful, why not? Why not? I can share it with my friend. Why
Yeah.
not? I can share it with my family. That's among the leadership skills that you can learn by the time,
Yeah.
so that you can just just train yourself on that knowledge, so that it could be innate.
Yeah.
It could be innate. By the time it will be innate, so you can just share it, and also your team, your family, your children can have the same quality.
Yeah.
When we see children have the sense of integrity and sharing, that's something good. It's not innate. It's
Right.
something they learned from their parents,
Yeah.
because they saw them
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah.
They saw them have empathy towards people.
Mhm.
So it's something that we need to learn, and we need to teach it. For
I think, yeah, no, Freddie, I think those are really good points, and I guess where I was trying to go with that is the idea of collaborating. So to me, when people think more in terms of collaboration, and we learn that doing something, sharing something doesn't mean we're any less or they're any more. It just simply means sharing. We're collaborating, okay?
yeah,
The idea of collaborating, successful collaboration. We had a session earlier talk about negotiating in our workshop, and we're talking about when you create a win-win situation, it's because you learn to collaborate with people, right? You find common objectives that you're trying to achieve, so you're each trying to achieve a win position, okay? So that's what comes out of collaboration, and it's powerful. But you have to have, in order for collaboration to work, people need to feel secure enough. If they're not secure, they're not going to collaborate. Okay, that's the point. So, okay, well, let's go ahead and But that was good feedback, and you brought up something that's really important too about how the environment that we grow up in is a big factor, right? And we learn, like you said, through observation, right? What our parents do, what our friends do. Right? So this is where some of these skills, these learned skills, we get that from, right? With trust and these kind of things, responsibility, etc. So, okay. Okay, so basically, when we talk about negotiating, we just talked about this a minute ago. Prepare yourself, do your homework, do your research. In my opinion, look to try and create a win-win situation. I think that's always better to create a win-win if you can. If you need to compromise, that's fine, but we should always strive for a win-win. In order to be successful in negotiating, we also need to learn to prioritize. Okay, when we walk into a room to negotiate, we don't have a sense of what our priorities are going to be. I don't think that we're going to be successful, so we need to prioritize what we want to get out of something. Okay, so knowing what you're willing to be flexible with. Part of negotiating is practicing rehearsing. Okay, if you have a big meeting coming up next week, spend some time to walk through it. Get a friend, sit down, and just rehearse it. Okay, it doesn't hurt. Okay. Use your body language. This is really important again. Showing your confidence. You know, we don't give enough credit to body language. We really don't. And we should give more credit to body language in terms of the ability to persuade somebody on something, okay? To be able to influence somebody, okay? Yeah. Do I have a question? Be an effective communicator, okay? Which we talked about already. So basically, again, walking through these steps, if we had time, if we had a lot of time, there's a lot of exercises you can actually do to develop these skills. You know, with the time we have here, we're just kind of touching on a very high level, right? Okay, the last one we talked about was communication. So communication process is very, very simple, okay? You communicate a message, somebody receives that message, right? Sends feedback to the sender, okay? It's a loop, okay? Communication is a loop, okay? So when we think about communication, it's the single most important skill. And again, you can develop communication skills. Some people have maybe more natural ability, okay? Some people, maybe how do I say it? They don't have the, maybe they don't get nervous when they're doing public speaking. Some people, you know, have more self-confidence, perhaps. But anybody can learn to improve their communication skills. I'm not saying that all communicators are always going to be equal, because some people are just very good. And some people maybe aren't too good. But everybody can improve their communication skills. Okay. Okay, and again, this is kind of the empathy thing. So, you know, to me, again, it's all about being an active listener, right? Listen more than you speak, okay? When we do, and particularly, again, everything we just talked about, when you're working with a team in terms of planning something, you need to listen to feedback from your team. When you delegate authority to somebody, okay, listen to what your people are telling you. You delegated them a certain responsibility or authority, listen to them, okay? If you're negotiating, okay, you know, say what you need to say, but also be willing to, again, listen to what they're talking about, okay? Understand their position. Be clear and concise in your communication. We talked about that earlier, okay? And there's many communication types, right? There's written communication, there's symbols, there's emojis on Facebook, and okay, right? There's body language, there's all kinds of communication styles and types. So understand all those types. Not everybody, some people like to write. Some people like to send a text message, okay? Okay. Okay, so one last quiz. Okay, last one. I promise. Okay, you guys are gonna kill me if I do any more quizzes. Okay, this isn't a quiz. This is actually a survey. So, because I'm curious about, after we talked about those 4 areas: delegation, planning, negotiating, communication. What do you think for you, each one of you, is the area that you need to work on the most? What is your weak spot? Okay. So if you had to pick 1 or 2, what would be the areas you feel are your weakest points that you need the most improvement on? Okay, so we got 7 out of 10, so a couple more.
Is it for our personality?
Yeah, this is based upon which skills do you think you need to work on the most? So basically, what are your weak points?
We're gonna be exposed.
What's that?
We're gonna be exposed, I think.
You're gonna be exposed?
Yeah.
It's anonymous. I don't even know who's saying what.
Oh, okay.
I tried to, Ahmed, that's you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I tried to, the last time I tried to, because you can do reports and all kinds of things with Zoom. There's a lot you can do with it. But in order to have names associated with these polls, you have to have it so they're authenticated users, which means going through a process, and it kind of makes it harder for people to join. So I just said, screw it, you know. I didn't say that. But. So basically, what I see right now is most people felt, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I'll share the results. I'm being selfish. Let me share the results. So most people say communication. That's interesting.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I think the communication, it's the backbone of the negotiation.
I think it's the opposite.
So what?
I think that I think that the communication is the backbone of the negotiating. Because to be a negotiator, you need to be a good communicator. How to communicate, how to listen, how to transmit your voice and your opinion to others.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I think most people would probably say that. I mean, you know, again, communication is the foundation for everything we do, right? And I think most people would probably agree, whether it's public speaking, whether it's expressing your ideas, whether it's involved in terms of resolving a conflict or negotiating something. Yeah, most people feel like that's an area that we could always use or find room for improvement, right? And I think that that's very true. It's not necessarily easy to be an effective communicator. I think all of us struggle with it. But the good thing is, it's certainly something that can be learned. So that's a good thing, right? So it's one of those things that you could do something about. You know, we can't, in life, we have some things we can't do anything about. Okay, but communication is something we can actually work on to improve. So that's a good thing. Okay, good. And the one at the least was delegation. So that tells me that nobody has any problems delegating, huh?
I haven't tried it before.
Delegation is the best thing for me.
That means everybody wants to be a boss, okay?
But you can't delegate without being a communicator. So it's something
Yeah,
more integrated and more attached. So you cannot delegate someone to do a work without being a good communicator.
yeah,
So I guess that those who feel that communication is the most needed, they needed to do the both communication and delegation because both of them work together.
yeah,
You cannot be a delegator without being a communicator.
yeah. No, it's true.
That's not called leadership. That's called bossy. Without being without having the skills to communicate and to delegate someone to do a work without being a bossy. So I think they work together all along.
Well, I think, again, for each one of these, you know, your communication skills plays a role in everything. It plays a role in terms of planning. How do you communicate what your objectives are? How do you, you know, coordinate with your team to identify certain resources if you don't have good communication? How do you negotiate without communication? I think all of these communication skills is the foundation. Again, it's the house that the walls are built on, right? It's the foundation the walls are built on. Without good communication, it's really difficult to develop any of the skills in a way that would be effective, right?
Yeah, I guess each one of us needs to just reveal what they need from this quiz. They needed to just develop on the idea that where they have that lack in communication and negotiation. For me personally, I needed the planning. I just picked up the planning and the negotiation because I'm not the person who is very structured and very. I'm just something messy, but
Same here. Same here.
yeah, but I'm not very structured. I like things to be planned in advance, but not that very structured. I like to be surprised. I like things to be at the last minute, and I even work at the last minute. I even prepare for my exams at the last minute. So I like to have that rush and that adrenaline just running.
Interesting.
But I'm not very structured, so I guess that my planning is a lack for me.
Oh, interesting.
And also negotiation. I'm not good at just impress, or I'm not good at what's the word? I'm not good at convincing. So I think I failed in convincing. For me personally, not as a leader, not
Right.
even as a leader. I'm thinking in general. So these skills needs to be developed in me. Maybe because I'm messy in my personal life. I'm not very messy. Don't take it very bad. But also in negotiation, I feel that I have that lack because I'm not good at convincing. I can just share my knowledge. I can just share my what I do or what I know, but I cannot convince you to just follow me or just to pick up the decision that I had. That's what is missing in my skills. So
Well, you know,
that.
I think, Betty, part of what I want to do when we get back, when we all get back to the facility, to me, as a workforce, meaning the general population that we have, there's certainly areas to me in terms of you know, the planning, because that relates to how we organize things, right? Our organizational skills. And I think these things are all important. I think these qualities or these skill sets are really, really important for anybody. You know, I'd like to find ways in the future to you know, again, none of us are perfect. All of us have our strong points and weak points.
Yeah.
But some of these things, something can be done about, and I think it's important to try and work on some of them when we get back to the office. So,
Hopefully.
good job, everybody. Let me go
Highlight.
ahead and go to the summary, okay? And then we're going to wrap up. I've been holding you guys for a while. So the key points are, some leadership qualities are innate, they're natural, okay? Some are, okay? Some leadership skills we just talked about, delegating, planning, right? Negotiating, and communication. We can learn certain things. Again, many people say, oh, I wasn't a born leader. I'm not a born leader. Oh, you know what? Most
That's
people
not
are
true.
probably not born leaders. Okay, leaders are something that circumstances and life create. Okay, you know, we go through different things in our life, and you know, there's something that a saying I heard a long time ago. Your character is not, how do they say? Adversity is what builds character. No, you know, adversity is what reveals your character. Okay, so there are certain things that are part of our character. Okay, maybe our personality is part of our character. Okay, but leadership skills certainly can be developed. Okay? Right, and if we're thinking about developing our skills, you have to trust your team. If you're a leader and you don't trust your team, you got problems, okay? You got serious problems, okay? You need to think about what you're gonna do about it, okay? You need to be an effective planner to be a leader, okay? Because, you know, it's one element of it, okay? You need to know how to be an effective negotiator, because part of leadership is all about, you know, I'm gonna get this or that, okay? Knowing how to negotiate. And the last one we talked about is developing efficient and effective communication skills, right? So that was basically it. I think we spent a lot of time already going through questions and answers. Are there any more things that we need to talk about? I don't want to hold people up any longer than necessary.
I just wanted to talk about something important that revolves around or what you were talking about, leadership, and it's self-awareness. And I like the last quiz that you that you did and you worked on, and because it's about self-awareness. Well, it enforces the aspect that we have to be aware of ourselves, aware of our defaults or our defects or our weaknesses, so that we can improve ourselves through trainings, or through, I don't know, through trainings, or through other education, or through reading books, or through other things that may help us improve ourselves and overcome our weaknesses. Yeah, it's important to be aware of yourself. It's not a shame if you're not a good leader, because you can be, you can be a good leader. It's not that big deal. Well, yeah. Because I believe that a good leader is a good leader in his life, who had experience in his life, who had gone through various or different situations in his life. So yeah, you get these skills, leadership skills, from your life, from your family. A good leader has to be, or I don't know, but I think that a good leader has to be a good leader in his family, a good leader in his at school, good leader in his, like, in other activities, if he participates in other in charities or charity programs, or other things like that. Yeah, or extracurricular activities. Yeah, those are helpful for future leaders if it's the aim, if it's the goal, if it is our objective to be a leader. So we have to consider to work on yourself before like seeing before working with your other people. You have to work on yourself, because we will face different people, we will face different personalities, and we have to know how to deal with them. So and that's why empathy, and you emphasized it and we talked about it. Empathy, it's knowing other people, putting putting yourself in the shoes of other people, so you can understand them better, and you see the things from their point of view. Not you don't just consider your point of view and you say, yeah, that's me, that's my point of view, and I'm right. So yeah, that's it. And I think self-awareness is a key factor in determining a good leader, and a key factor in improving people, who improving students, or who improving other people who are planning to be good leaders in the future. So yeah, that's
No, I think that's a really, really, really good point. That being introspective, looking within, is really, really important. You know, to have that sense of self-awareness is so important. And to me, you know, we have a habit often in our life where we always look out because we don't look in enough. That's a really good point you bring up, because I think, again, we need to know ourselves. It doesn't mean that we're never going to necessarily know ourselves 100%, because I think even sometimes we're a mystery to ourselves. Okay, right?
yeah, definitely.
But at least we should have a sense of who we are. What drives us? What inspires us? What motivates us? What makes us feel happy? What makes us feel sad? We have that sense of self-awareness. We're better prepared to deal with things externally, right? So it's hard to deal with things externally if you don't have a good handle on yourself internally, okay? So that's a really good point. Okay, well, listen, I thank all of you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. We are going to probably continue this. Again, we're going to be opening up our facility here pretty soon. We have to look at our schedules and see how that's going to affect us. But I would like to continue this. Maybe next week we'll do something about community. I have a strong sense of, since I'm living here now, of some ideas about community. So I'm thinking about how to organize that into something like this. So I appreciate you guys. And again, Ida Mubarak, and take care of yourselves. Stay out of trouble. Okay.
Thanks.
Don't eat too much. Okay.
Really, I'm so appreciate. Thank you a lot.
Oh, no. My pleasure. My pleasure. And all of you, just be safe, be healthy,
Yes.
and be happy. And we'll see you soon. Okay.
Yeah, I've
Thank
done
you, too.
great work.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
You
everybody.
too. Take care.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.